Want to grow your business? Download the Baseball app, the global business platform.
Hi, welcome to the latest issue of Think Global China edition. My name's David Thomas and I'm joined today by Peter Evans of Mawson Global and Michael Coriano of White Label Hire. Welcome, guys.
Thanks, David.
Thanks very much.
In today's show, we're going to talk about how to import products from China to sell locally or abroad. So it's all about importing. We're going to cover a number of things. We're going to talk about why you should import from China. We're going to talk about how China's new manufacturing and industry hubs are starting to become important. We're going to look at some tips around sourcing a supplier from China. We'll look at the key things to consider when sourcing your product from China, how to ensure you are import ready, what it's like to go to the China's Import and Export Fair in Canton, the Canton Trade Fair as it's known. And finally, we're going to look at some of the biggest challenges facing small businesses when they're importing from China. So let's start with Peter. Peter, why would you start with China as an importing, to source your product from China? Why would you start with China?
Well, David, most of our clients are small business through to mid-sized business, and what they're looking for is a country they can trust and a country they can work with. And that's where China really fits in. China has built its economy around export over the last 50 years, and it is set apart by a couple of things. The infrastructure to export, so getting product from factory to wharf and out, and also the expertise of the companies wanting to export. So our clients will often look for products from around the world. It's usually the Chinese that come back first with the right pricing and with the ability to deliver the products.
And how has the manufacturing industry changed in China? How's it evolved in recent times?
I guess it's like any developing country. It begins with the lower technical, the light manufacturing, apparel, footwear, and then as those skills build and as the workforce develops greater skills, it can move into heavy manufacturing. And we're seeing China now moving, obviously, as we've just noticed, into aerospace, into aeronautics. They've got their own jets. So that's the change that's happened. However, it is a really big economy. There's still plenty of apparel, there's still plenty of footwear made right through China. And China is a very big country. So where some areas there might be pressures on wage, which would tend itself to heavier manufacturing, more advanced manufacturing. There's a lot more of China where the lighter manufacturing can move out to as it basically moves away from the sea and towards inland.
Yeah. Is it becoming more high-tech as well? Are they moving up the value chain, able to manufacture a much higher-end type products?
They really are. I mean, a lot of people say to us, yeah, but I want to buy a product out of China. You know, quality is a real problem. And they usually say it as they're looking at their iPhone. Now, iPhones are made in China, they're designed in America, but they're made in China. Most of our Apple products come out of China. Some of the world's biggest brands now are becoming Chinese. Fisher & Paykel is now a Chinese brand. So yes, definitely the quality is increasing. It's about getting the management and the quality management right. And in some industries that's there, in others you just need to be a little more careful.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll talk a bit about quality a bit later. But coming back to cost, I know that many people think of outsourcing or sourcing product from China to save money. Is it just about that, or is cost a big part of it, or are there other elements as well?
Absolutely. Look, cost usually drives most businesses to start off with, but there's two other factors that are important. So on the cost side, we would normally see a cost reduction for our clients by going direct. So it's actually cutting out the middlemen. So going direct by cutting out the middleman of, rule of thumb, about 50%. Wow. Obviously that's not on commodities like steel and globally traded commodities, but on anything where it's touched, it's about 50%. It's often more for small business who have more layers of middleman. But there's two other reasons as well. One is just plugging into global supply chains. China is where the world goes to shop. If you want to be buying what the Americans and the Europeans and people from around the world are buying, that's where it's being made. That's where the development is being put in now. And the other reason is technical advancement, being able to use, as you said, the increasing technology and being able to prototype at a much more cost-effective way. And often our clients will prototype in China, and then once they've worked it out, bring it onshore into their country of residence and mechanise there.
Yeah. And we hear lots of talk about China becoming more expensive, particularly along the eastern seaboard, where the labour costs are starting to rise as they become more developed, modern-type cities. And there's some of it's being driven into the inner western areas. But what about other Southeast Asian countries? Are you now able to get a better deal or a better product out of Southeast Asia, or is China still the place?
For small business, we'd probably say China is still the place. I mean, there's specific products that come out of a Vietnam or a Thailand, especially in apparel, or in agricultural products where they specialise in cashew nuts or seafood. But really in ease of dealing, and 50% is a pretty good saving, David. You might get 55% out of Vietnam, but the risks will be higher. So for most of our clients, China really is the place to start. Once you've perfected that, after 5-7 years, go for the extra 5% in one of the other countries.
Yeah. Now, I'm really pleased you brought one of your clients with you today, Michael Coriano. Can you share just some of your insights in working with Peter in terms of sourcing out of China and some of these cost issues?
Yeah, so just resonating what Peter said, one of the things when I was opening the business, so the business that I was starting was a hiring business, and I knew that for me to be competitive, the major thing for me was cost. So I went in there thinking that cost was going to be the be-all and end-all, which it was. And going into China, comparing it to what I was paying locally or what I was potentially paying locally, it was about a 40% saving. So straight away, there was already a direct benefit with going to China. But what I wasn't aware of was that when I actually went to China and visited, and with the help of Peter and his team, we went and visited the suppliers, was that they're very forward-thinking and trending as well, because as Peter said, they're dealing with the rest of the world. So Australian market, while here it is a big market, it's only a very small market in the whole scheme of things. So you've got trends coming out of Europe and America, which then, if we tap into those markets, we can then bring those trends to Australia. So, and a lot of money is being spent on innovation. You brought up before the fact that the wage cost is increasing. So now they're looking at other ways of increasing their revenue, and the way they're seeing and doing that is through innovation and making better products, better quality products. I mean, the days of them being able to copy and get it at providing cheaper price, they'll be gone eventually, because as costs go up for them to manufacture there, they have to look at ways of increasing their profitability. So that's what I found, which was a real eye-opener when I visited the factories over in China.
So it's more than just cost. So you can normally expect a good cost saving, but actually there are many other benefits from sourcing from China.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I did have a look at these Vietnam, for instance, and the cost variation between Vietnam and China was about 10%. But it was around the reliability. The reliability wasn't there. I mean, you'd ask for a price, and you got it one day at one price, and the next day you got a different price. But with China, it's proven. It's proven in terms of the logistics, reliability, and efficiency. So that's another draw card to go towards China.
Now, China's not one country. There's lots of different parts of China. There's a lot of people, a lot of cities, a lot of clusters, lots of provinces. How do you decide where to go when you're looking for a supplier out of China? Where do you start?
It's all about you. It's all about what you're looking for and your business. So yes, there are industrial hubs. I mean, a lot of our clients come to us and say, I want to go to the south of China. And we say, why? They say, because that's where the industry is. It's not. It's well spread over China. I think that comes from the opening up of China in 1978. But even before that, the Canton Fair, the trade fair from Canton began in the 50s. That's just near Hong Kong. And that's where people expect the industry to be. The industry is all over China. There's clusters of heavy industry. Most of it's around the seaboard. But when you're saying what region would you go to, I guess it's like wine, and I'm an Australian, so Australian wine, you may have heard of the Barossa Valley or the Hunter Valley. The best wine for you may come from the Adelaide Hills or the Margaret River, a spot that no one else has heard of. So it's about what you're looking for and finding the supplier or the three suppliers that do that. Geography really isn't so important.
And how do you do that in practice? I mean, how do you find three suppliers that are relevant to you? Where do you start?
I guess that's what we do most of the time for our clients. I've got a team on the ground in China, which is really helpful. So having someone you can work with who speaks the language is really important, whether on the ground or in your home country. A great place to start is the internet. There's some. From there, it's then, people can be anything on the internet, I suppose. It's then drilling down and do your research.
Yeah.
That's where the possibility of picking up the phone and talking to the supplier, asking them some sort of pointed questions, and I guess one of the best questions we have to ask for suppliers is, can you name 5 customers who've been with you for 3 years or more? That actually, those sort of questions. Actually, just ask the questions you'd ask your local supplier.
Yeah.
If you were going to buy from someone locally, what would you ask them? It's not magic in China. It just asks the same questions. It's just a little harder asking them because it won't be your traditional language, culture. So that's where it's great to have someone on board who can help there. But just be as thorough as you would be if you were buying something locally.
And then I suppose if you've got a short list, you probably should go and visit them. I imagine you conduct lots of visits.
Yeah. Look, I'm not sure where you're viewing this from. Many of the businesses will be small business. Your order will be vitally important to you, but probably quite small in the process or in the size of China. You need to be the easiest customer your supplier deals with. And that's about being easy to talk to them, so have the language. It's also about building a relationship. Nothing beats walking a factory, visiting the client. When someone else comes with an order from the other side of the world for twice your order and they're trying to decide which one to produce on time, if you've walked the factory, if you've seen them, if you've talked to them, you're going to come up in front. And that would be whether it was in New York or New Jersey or London or in Australia. Really, it's creating that relationship. So walking the factories is vital. And our clients love doing it because, as Michael says, they'll often be looking for one item. They're looking for a particular kettle, and when they get there, they say, what on earth's that product there? And the supplier will say, oh, we're shipping that to Scandinavia. Oh, well, that's what I've been looking for.
Wow.
And that sort of thing happens because you're there.
Yeah, yeah. So, Michael, you've walked around a few factories, I'm sure, in China. Anything to add to what you're looking for when you're doing that?
No, well, once again, the team there at Mawson Global was able to help me through that process. So I had someone there that could speak the language, and help my negotiation process and actually tell me what to look for when I was walking around, and what questions to ask. One particular issue that I had was in the hiring industry that I'm in, we were constantly moving products in and out of the packaging. And the packaging that they had there was the polyurethane, so it broke away whenever you're lifting it in and out. And I was trying to work out a way to get that fixed when I was bringing the product back. And having the guys there to help me, they straight away spoke to the supplier and said, okay, can we change the packaging? Something I wouldn't be able to do. They got a hard foam, which automatically alleviated all of my problems straight away. So in the manufacturing process, they had a bit of help along that. So it's very important and back to what Peter was saying before, going and actually meeting the people behind the scenes, meeting the owners if you can, or meeting people in the production line really helps, because at the end of the day, you can put a name to a face when you're dealing with somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, locally, you'd go to that effort to do it here. And if you want to be a value customer, it's something that you need to do.
Yes.
Because then volume doesn't play as big as a part as what a relationship would.
Yes. I mean, an intermediary, of course, plays a very important and vital role in all this, but of course it adds to the cost. So I'm sure often people say to you, why should I use you, Peter? Why can't I just go direct? And how do you generally answer that? and maybe you've got an example or two of where working through an intermediary you've been able to deliver a major benefit to one of your clients.
Sure. I guess it's about that on-the-ground knowledge that we can supply. Please don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with intermediaries, there's nothing wrong with agents as long as they're providing value. And it's about that 50% gap, that middleman. If the middleman is taking 50%, providing you with 50% value, that's great. It's about knowing those numbers, and I guess that's where we try and assist. Where they can really add value is so on the technical side, maybe being able to provide a little more finance, so you're not paying up front for your product. Often that's where a middleman can help. And as you said, it's about where can they add.
To continue enjoying this presentation, download the Baseball app, the global business platform. Scan it now.